Today's post: the ego's job in duality is to protect the soul from violation on earth. The ego's job is to allow the soul to express itself without being compromised. The ego's job is to enforce healthy boundaries which allow the sensitive soul to thrive, and to allow the soul to do its work, without being harmed. That's the true job of the ego on earth. When you have healthy boundaries, not weak codependent boundaries, your ego will support your ascension. It will understand what you need and what you don't need to do your soul's work and align itself with that. The ego has to transform into an ally, from an enemy. Living in unity consciousness, I'd expect there would be even less for the ego to do, because all will be of one loving mind. There will be less boundary violation. Ivo, the goal of duality, of course, is to make one's way to unity consciousness. Me, Ivo, explain this to me and everyone else, please. Ivo, of course. As we have said before, your egos are mind-controlled. This mind control creates conditions of superiority or inferiority within the sufferer, depending on factors such as experience or choice. Yes. You will choose to have superiority or inferiority complexes, whichever you feel suits you best in life. Me, that's gross. So few options. Ivo, you heard Jesus comment the other day, that a life of ego is a life of self-rejection. That works in two ways. The negative ego rejects all including what it perceives as self, itself, and it rejects the true self, the soul as well. And you went through that, my love. You have spent your entire life fighting the dark's minions sent to you to violate your boundaries. It took becoming angry enough to take positive action. What you did not realize at that time was your goal of creating boundaries was in fact to protect your soul to do its work on the dense third-dimensional plane. Your soul is accustomed to healthy boundaries which reflect universal law because the rest of the galaxy works in that fashion, learning universal law in order to comply with it. Their lives are much easier than yours because your egos are twisted to non-compliance of universal law, and codependency, the focus on others other than oneself, is the primary problem. This week you have jumped many hurdles, by understanding that the Karpman triangle is the model used against your people by the dark. They have insinuated this triangulation into your societies and promoted it as a normal method of interaction between your people. But it is in fact dysfunctional and codependent. You are all beings of power who have direct connection to the God source. You are part of God. And yet you are taught these codependent ways of thinking that violate the boundaries of others as well of yourself and that throw universal laws of love to the wind. Your thinking is anything but loving. This week you recognized the pattern of codependency within religion. The perpetrator is the devil, the victim is the human, and the savior is God or Jesus. As you know from experience, the perpetrator is always seen as being the most powerful party, so in the case of religion, this would be the devil. So who in fact created religion, I ask? What is more, triangulation is used to manipulate all of you by your governments. It is used as a basis in the staged crisis events in the US. There is a victim, the crisis actors, the perpetrator is the wild gunman or gunman who shoot up the school, and the savior, the rescuer, is the government who steps in to solve the problem with gun regulations and policing of schools. This is part of the New World Order agenda being carried out in front of you, with the blessing of those who are unaware and still asleep, and easily manipulated. As for the created wars between your countries, triangulation is also used. Your people largely view themselves as victims. They are certainly treated as such. When the victim is told by the leaders that an enemy country is preparing to attack, they switch to the position of rescuer and rescue their people and their government in the name of patriotism, to do the government's dirty work. Another manipulation. As you are aware of the weapons of mass destruction, lie, these weapons were never found, because they never existed. Triangulation is used to manipulate you. And you people are using it to interact with one another on a daily basis. Triangulation and codependency are unhealthy ways of relating to others, and as such, these states have unhealthy boundaries. My dear, you were taught to be codependent as a child. You had to learn to have healthier ways of relating to others, and so you went to Codependence Anonymous for 8 years when you turned 40. You had suffered poor boundaries and skewed thinking long enough. During this time you strengthened your connection to your Christ self and began communicating with me and your Christ self, Athena. You still do. You have a strong connection and do not generally act out of negative ego. You are aware when you do because you feel pain when you do. But today you have realized why you did all this work. In your third-dimensional, now fourth-dimensional world, you are all dysfunctional, living afoul of universal law. In circumstances like these, the soul needs a guardian in the physical, and that is the ego. The ego's job is to protect the soul so that the soul can continue to do its work unimpeded. You have unusual boundaries, my love, because you have understood how it feels to be violated and suffered the loss of soul and had experienced predominance of ego throughout your young life. You will stand for no more violation of your boundaries. You protect yourself with impunity in duality. Me, so why do I have to? Why do I even care about boundary violators? Most people would say they don't give a damn and who cares about them. Ivo, can you say that? My love, you care about everybody. You are affected by everybody as anyone of unity consciousness would be. All are, you are just more aware of it. It is not something you can stop doing unless you drop out of unity consciousness and become less aware, which of course is difficult for a human. The drive you have to unite all prevails within your mind. You know people should be united, yet your world is still unready to accept this. So you must take steps to do what you can and unite with those like-minded souls that think as you do and leave others to learn at their own pace. You are part of the vanguard who is here to introduce unity consciousness to the people who are ready to acknowledge and to live it. So many are not, and they should be allowed to work at accepting this at their own pace. You are part of a collective, and that collective has been largely negative, and you are very aware of the collective as an empathy. You always have been. The end goal for your people is to balance your collective consciousness in love. But you are highly empathic and very aware of the collective and care for them all. You cannot help that. That is inherent in your level of light. I realize this had caused your suffering, but it was important to experience this. Your mother calling you a sucker because you cared, did not help. Me, yes, it's hard to care for someone who doesn't care for themselves. Sometimes all you can do is walk away or allow them to destroy your life too. Ivo, you care about everybody in this world, whether you are acquainted or not. That is the calling card of the Lightworker. You are aware of the unity of the people upon your planet and prefer to see your world as people of oneness. Those who do not align with your thinking are simply cast aside to continue to learn elsewhere. You are seeking the unity that your soul envisages as the true state of your people. And that is part of the Lightworker process as well, to be the impetus that brings this world together in love. You are the beginning of that. Those who do not align with this, you don't deal with. Those who do you accept gladly. But saying you don't care is impossible for you. Me, yes, I get that. It can be overwhelming when this is constantly in your face as well. So I choose not to have it. Ivo, you understand this is the time to begin to unite as one people, and you have those around you who are of like mind. You understand that to be united, and to remain that way takes work, particularly at your level. It takes boundaries, respect for others, not attacking others, love for all, caring about all, not triangulating and not being codependent, and good communication, which you enact with those who follow you. Those who cannot live up to those standards are not part of your online community. So you do not have the discord you see in other groups. Yours is peaceful because you expect that. Those who follow you will start their own groups and demand the same of their followers. And in so doing, your people will learn the way of peace and positive interaction. Everyone will learn at their own pace. Me, yes, I expect respect. If you disrespect me, I disconnect you. You need to learn more. Ivo, you are in a high place in your own spiritual development. Those who do not align with you, you allow to go their own direction. Me, what about teaching them? Ivo, my love, you are too different from those you seek to teach. Many are still learning your old lessons of 30 years ago, you're beginning out of codependency. Me, people understand what we're talking about in these videos too. There are people of unity consciousness. Ivo, yes. But those who are not, you will let go of. You understand from your past that the dysfunction that they live in is not healthy for your soul. Your soul has been through much trauma and now desires the peace of healing. Me, I thought I was supposed to be a teacher. Ivo, you are. We have books and you blog daily. They can read and reflect upon what is said. We have these videos. But you will not allow them to be codependent with you or triangulate with you. Me, you could say that's controlling. Ivo, that is self-love, my dear. You can love yourself in a world that is as harmful to the soul as yours is. Me, I see. I'm sure some think I'm a control freak. LOL. Ivo, they do not understand what you are doing because they have not achieved what you have yet. You have a lot to lose now, years and years of hard work. You are allowing your soul to manifest upon earth, to bring the Christ consciousness through. What vestiges you have left of the negative ego are dealt with as you are entirely focused upon self. Me, people could say that's selfish, lol, I'm playing devil's advocate again. Ivo, that is not selfish. Selfishness is a state of the ego, not the soul. The soul cannot be selfish as it is aligned with the rest of consciousness. There is only one, in fact. One is all, and all are one. Those in ego cannot understand this. Me, there's one thing I wanted to discuss for the people listening, and that is why I will not take advice from anyone on earth. The only person I've taken counsel from is Rick Jewers, and that's because I know who he is. Otherwise the only counsel I take is from the galactics, from you, Ashta, Atama and everyone else. The reason for this is I don't have to try to understand your motivation, whether you're coming from ego or soul. I know where you're coming from. I can also drop my boundaries because you're as sensitive as I am. So I don't have to deal with insensitivity either. Ivo, yes, you relate well to us. You are in fact already an ascended master, but you know this. Me, yes, I figured I'd come to Earth and get my second degree, my master's in disasters. LOL. Ivo, call it what you will, your Earth is a special school, my dear. Me, fraught with challenges in this state. But hopefully that'll change, and in future Earthlings can learn through love, not through hating each other. Ivo, yes, your past is one for the history books, indeed. It is much studied. Me, thank you Ivo. I hope people understand more about themselves through listening to this. Ivo, my dear, our conversations bring me so much closer to you.